Yeah, what's going on, everyone? It's your boy, Dead on Dave, and it is Tuesday, so that means yesterday was Monday, and we got our Monday Night Raw fix. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about a little bit of TNA news, just a little, I promise you, and, of course, the big bombshell drop by Daniel Bryan. All that and more on Dead on Dave right now. That's right, I am Dead on Dave, and you are watching Dead on Dave Productions. Thank you for joining us once again, right here on this glorious channel. It's a beautiful day. It is, children. All the sky is blue, and the birds are chirping, and everything is going. It's in the glory of our Lord and Creator. All right, enough of that. I enjoyed Raw last night. I'm going to just be flat out transparent right from the jump. I enjoyed Raw. I had fun with it. I thought, look, there was some dull spots with some of the promo work, but we're going to get into it. I really did enjoy the wrestling. The wrestling was solid, and there was one of those jaw-dropping matches. And we're going to get into it. We're going to cover it in depth. But first, we're going to start today with some announcements from the WWE. That's right. Big announcements from the WWE. One of the biggest ones, of course, from coming out of Raw was the Elimination Chamber is returning. And it's returning exclusively to the WWE Network. And it will be this month, the last day of May, May 31st, from Corpus Christi, Texas, which is one of the last places, apparently, that haven't had the renovations that preclude the... probably not one of the last places, but I just threw that in there. That preclude the Elimination Chamber to be set up. This works on a lot of different levels. For one, wrestling in Texas, always good crowds, nothing wrong with that. Two, it's brilliant to make an event like Elimination Chamber a match that people like to watch because it is brutal and interesting and there's always cool things going on. It's cool to make that a WWE Network exclusive because what does it do? Just like the King of the Ring, it makes you want to have the network. It becomes a must-have situation. Even if you just download it, and get it, order it, whatever, for the free, because it's still free in May. At least you're getting your foot in the door, and it's going to always be easier for you to now subscribe at any time and pay your $9.99 and all that. This is a brilliant move. And it's kind of, now they've given you the King of the Ring and the Elimination Chamber. So the question becomes, logically, what's next? What else can they bring back? Is this a foot in the door to a glory match that everybody wants to see brought back, like War Games? And make it a WWE Network exclusive. By having it on the network, you don't have to deal with all of these pain-in-the-ass things like marketing, as far as dealing with outside marketers and commercial rights and all that bullshit. It's your product. It's your content. Everything's all yours. You don't have to really worry too much about the rating. You could do the things you want to do. And the coolest thing about it is it allows you to do a pay-per-view without doing a pay-per-view. It's not a full event. And that has been confirmed by the WWE by stating that there's basically going to be 2 matches for the Elimination Chamber event. I think they need to call it, they cannot call it a pay-per-view. They can't call it, they just need to call it an event. They need to find a word that work. A special is probably the best thing. Elimination Chamber special. And I'm not going to lie, this is a little bit borrowing from TNA, who does, in a way it is. TNA does their specials, which is not even a new concept. WWE was doing the Extreme Rules and stuff, the one night only and all of that back 10 15 years ago. So it's not like this was a TNA deal, but TNA has been switched to like the televised stuff where it's a night of hardcore, a night of divas, or a night of knockouts, whatever. They've been doing that, and with mixed results, but we'll get into TNA in a minute. WWE is using this same concept, really, to bring it to the network and make it a must-have subscription. I think it's really smart, and I love the idea. And the WWE has gone and basically confirmed this by saying that there will be 2 matches at the event, at the special. And this was kind of a curveball. It makes sense that the newly vacated, and we'll get into that a little bit later as well, WWE Intercontinental title will be decided inside that chamber. That makes sense. 6 guys. I think that's awesome. That gives us 6 dudes who in the mid card, and you can basically pick anyone you want that are going to get featured on the network in a great epic match. Expect Barrett, Sheamus, Ziggler, Neville, and then 2 other guys that they want to throw in. But expect those 4 to be at the heart of this, and it's going to be awesome. That should be really, really cool. Now, the other one threw me for a little bit of a curve, I got to admit. I did not see this coming, and it's brilliant. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. For the first time ever, I believe, they're going to stuff teams inside each pod. There should be 6 teams vying for the WWE Tag Team Championship, as the tag team titles have been announced to be decided in the Elimination Chamber. Now, this is cool. This is cool for a lot of reasons. One, it's going to lock 2 members of the New Day, who I presume are still going to be the champs going into that event. I do think they will get the best of Kid and Cesaro. But it also shows a little bit of far-sighted thinking, a long-term thinking, I should far-sighted, long-term thinking by the WWE, because it's kind of weird. Hey, the WWE is forming up tag teams again. It's kind of strange. We got the Primetime Players are back. That was kind of weird. We got the Ascension are back on TV. It looks like they're throwing the Mega Powers together. I say in quotations, and we'll get into that segment as well. The new team of Macho Mandow and Axelmania looks like they are now a team. They've formed. We've reformed Harper and Rowan. So now we have all these teams. What can we do with them? Let's fucking feature them in an Elimination Chamber match exclusively on the network. It's brilliant. You can say what you want about the WWE, and I don't like this era, but it makes no sense, because they are giving us plenty of awesome shit here. And this is a cool thing. I really think it's a really unique concept that they're doing here. And they're highlighting 2 things that everybody always bitches about that they're not highlighting. I don't care that they're doing it on the network. Oh, they're greedy. For one, it's free. Shut up, you jamoke. Shut up. They're not shit. They're trying to further their brand. Nothing wrong with that at all. But they're doing the 2 things that everyone bitches about outside of the Divas, which I'll address that as well. They're featuring the tag division, and they're featuring the mid card. What? That's it. What else are you going to do? What else can you say?
I have spoken!
That's right. That's right. Boom. We're done. Next subject. I'm excited about it, if you can't tell. I can't wait to see what they decide to do with those matches and who's going to walk out victorious. It should be built up quite well. Now, I don't talk a lot about TNA on this show. I just don't. I don't see what a lot of people have said, the rebirth of a lot of the matches have been better than ever, and the storylines are... No, I don't buy that. I don't get it. I certainly don't believe it. I've watched TNA since they've moved over to Destination America, and it has not been overly impressive to me. I see a lot of the same problems and a lot of the same trends and things that they've done in the past. It's nothing new to me. And I still feel like that these wrestlers have a hard time with that 6-sided ring. It's just like they don't seem comfortable in it. They just don't. Most of them. There are some that do, of course. I mean, there's always going to be people who are going to excel in those situations, but it feels wrong for a lot of those guys. Here's the biggest thing for me, and we're going to talk about Slammiversary. TNA is trying to revamp and basically stay alive at this point, if you believe what a lot of people are saying. I don't know. People have had the coffin almost being slammed shut on TNA for like 5 years, and they still find a way to survive. And I believe they will, because Dixie's the baby of the family, basically, and she gets what she wants. Daddy will continue to give her the money she needs to fund TNA, plain and simple. He doesn't care. That money is always regenerating, so that doesn't really matter. And now with the partnership with Billy Corgan, and yes, you heard me right, partnership. He isn't working for TNA. I don't buy that for a second. I believe he bought his way into that company, and he owns a piece now. I firmly believe that. Firmly believe it. Corgan would not have come on unless he had a guarantee to have a lot of power. A lot of power within that, because that's what he wanted before, and I believe that's what he has now. I'm sorry. He's not the executive vice president of blah, blah. No. He's, believe me, that dude has got power within that company. I believe it with every fabric of my being, and I'm basing it off of just 32 years of watching the product and seeing the stuff backstage and understanding how believing that I have an understanding of some of the interworkings backstage goes. It just makes the most sense to me that Corgan would not have come on board unless he had some kind of contractual or just an agreement to have some kind of power, like real power, not just a title as an executive within the company, because that just doesn't make sense to me, but it's okay. Back to TNA itself. Part of the problem about TNA, and especially with their pay-per-views, is nothing feels special. And I understand that it takes money to travel. It takes money to do things like get out on the road and hold huge events. But they have a couple of pay-per-views that still have name recognition, Bound for Glory being one, Slammiversary being the other. Slammiversary is a great pay-per-view, and it really, to me, should be handled more like a Night of Champions than anything. Not Night of Champions, I'm sorry. What was the WCW pay-per-view? The one that was always on TV, man. Oh, God. What the hell was that? Oh, my God, I can't remember. It was on TV twice a year. They did 2 events. Jesus. And they had the long walkway for all of them. It was awesome. I loved it. I can't remember the name of it. Oh, that's driving me nuts. WCW has died in my mind. It no longer exists. Oh, Lord, I got the vapors. I can't remember what it was called. Night. Nope. It was something with night. I don't remember. No idea. Completely left my mind. Anyway, Slammiversary will be held in the Impact Zone on June 28th, and that's part of my problem. And it is returning to full-fledged pay-per-view. Now, you are charging people a premium, whatever their pay-per-view prices are, which is probably like $30. I don't think they're charging as much as WWE, for a good reason, I would say. But they're returning to pay-per-view. But it's in the Impact Zone, so it's not going to feel special. Why should we buy it? And then they go ahead and they announce that the headline is going to be Kurt Angle versus Ethan Carter III for the TNA World Heavyweight title. Oh my God, who cares? Oh my God, who cares? Ethan Carter is terrible. He's one of the reasons why I stopped giving a shit about TNA in the first place. He's awful. He's awful in everything he does. Like, I guarantee when he wakes up in the morning and takes a leak, he misses the bowl because he's awful. He accidentally pours orange juice into his cereal because he's awful. This guy, he puts regular milk. He's one of those weird assholes who puts regular milk in his coffee and not cream or coffee milk. He's just one of those weird guys. Oh, 2% is good in my milk, or good in my coffee, even though it tastes terrible. You know why he doesn't notice? Because he's terrible. You don't hear me get critical on a human being very often on this show, but there's just something that irks me about that freaking guy. Everything he does is bad. And look, and Kurt Angle, who I feel takes unnecessary bumps for the sake of entertainment and I think most of them don't even look that good anymore at his age. I'm sorry. Kurt Angle's matches have really declined for me. And I think if you take off your TNA is good, WWE is bad glasses and watch his matches for what they are, I think most people come to that same conclusion. So putting these two together does absolutely nothing for me, and I want to care. That's the thing. It's the same thing with Lucha. I want to give a shit. And I understand that Lucha has also put on a better product in recent weeks. I checked out the amazing stuff that was going on down there, and it was nothing new. They had a couple of good matches on each show, and then it goes to the mediocrity and the weird shit that doesn't really make a lot of sense for the rest of it. It just doesn't work for me on when you look at the entire product. That's the thing. If I want to watch one really good match or whatever, or two really good matches per show, and get nothing else, there are places I can do. The internet is chock full of individual matches from the indies that are constantly being uploaded that are better than a lot of things, including in WWE, that we see on television every single week. You can get that. But when I tune in and I invest an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours into a show, I want a show. I want a show. I want a full arcing show. I want story. I want excitement. I want diversity. I want balance. I want a show. And I don't get that with TNA. I got it last night with Raw, okay? I got it last night with Raw, and we're about to get into that in a second. All right, moving on from TNA and this disastrous World Heavyweight title thing, and I'm sure a lot of people will disagree with me, and that's fine. I don't care. I'm used to being disagreed with when it comes to TNA. But that match has no appeal to me, but that's fine. Let's move on to the Primetime Players. Well, now they've gone and done it. Here's the thing. I like the Primetime Players. I do. I want to like them very much, but you got to get them in the ring. All right? You see, this whole backstage vignette where they just make fun of people and clown and do these weird. For one, when you go back and watch them after the initial, ha 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 ha, you watch it a second time and they're almost cringeworthy, every single one of them. And a lot of it is because Darren Young is just awful. He is really, the guy can barely talk. It seems like any charisma he actually has is forced. And now, for the second or third time, he is using, and I don't blame him for this, and I don't blame WWE for this. He's using the attention that he got for the coming out as gay as a little bit of a juicer. Yeah, and that's okay if you do it in a good way. The first example, when he goes, "My favorite colors is rainbow," I thought that was great. It was clever. It had some class to it. I thought that was great. Last night, though, where his little joke, everybody knows Billy Gunn had my favorite theme song of all time. Well, I'm in, and then he gets cut off before he can say "ass man." I think that's crass. I don't think it's clever. I don't think it was very funny. Maybe I have a stick up my butt. I don't know, but I just didn't. I didn't feel that, and the rest of the segment didn't really help itself too much either. It dragged far too long, and it was only like 2 minutes, but it dragged too long because they're both slow-talking individuals. And when Titus isn't mumbling his lines because he's got that Cro-Magnon fucking skull of his. And I like Titus, too. That's the thing. I think Titus could be a star individually. I really do. Hasn't happened yet, but I'm holding out hope. But anyway, to get back to the crux of this, getting past the horribleness of the overall segment, something did possibly happen with the Primetime Players that could get them in the ring at some point. Now, outside of main event, they called out and did a big skit on the New Age Outlaws. Oh, you didn't know? That's right. And one Billy Gunn has taken exception to it. He went to Twitter and he says this: "Okay, the Primetime Player stuff was funny till tonight. You have made fun of the wrong team. Now, at WWE Road Dogg, get your gear out." Now, that could just be a goof, or it could mean we're going to get a little bit of a match between these two. That'd be kind of cool to see. Look, I think the New Age Outlaws still have a lot to give. I don't want to see them featured in a main way. I don't think another run as tag team champions or anything like that goes. But as far as I would think they would be great in NXT. Like, wrestling more consistently in NXT. And I know that frickin' Road Dogg is doing more backstage things and he's gaining more power back there and stuff. And that's great. But he still brings a lot, and Billy can still wrestle his ass off. So use them while you got them. And there's a team that could really use their guidance, I think, because it's a mirror image of them. And, of course, I'm talking about my boys, Enzo Amore and Big Cass. because I love those guys, and they are basically in the same mold as the New Age Outlaws in almost every single way conceivable. And that's a high compliment, trust me. It really is. It's high praise for those guys. So I think there's plenty for them to give. I'd like to see them in a match with the Primetime Players and see where that goes from there. Could be interesting. At least the Primetime Players will be wrestling a match. That would be nice. So let's get past that, because as you know,
That's gotta be Kane! That's gotta be Kane! I have spoken!
I played the wrong audio, and then they both played back to back. I'm trying to mess with doing audio stuff, and I should not, because I'm bad. I'm terrible at everything. Anyway, so let's move on to the last big thing before we get into the Raw review, and which is not the crux of this show anyway, by the way. This is kind of, the Raw review is the extra stuff. The decision for Daniel Bryan to vacate that Intercontinental title, this is according to WrestlingInc.com, was basically made May 8th, so just a few days ago. And it was after Bryan and the officials of WWE received MRI results in his shoulder. So it's the shoulder that is really causing the issues at this present time. So it's not the neck, it's not the elbow, it's not the concussions. It is a shoulder problem, which shoulder problems are running rampant throughout the WWE. I think shoulder problems are probably overdiagnosed, though. I don't know about you. WWE was hoping Daniel Bryan would be back in action later this month, but it's been ruled out when they got that MRI. Now, look, this is weird to me. Seeing that is weird to me, that report, because they could have just made an interim champion, but they didn't. They had Daniel Bryan do a full-fledged, what really felt like a goodbye last night. So the question is, what is reality? Is Daniel Bryan really this screwed where this could be the end of his career, or at least the end of his in-ring career for a long time? Does he kind of go to the Shawn Michaels role now, where we see him on TV a lot, which it looks like we're going to. I see he's going to probably have a lot to do with the Intercontinental title picture in some ways, helping figure that situation out. But what about more than that? Tough Enough and all of that, that's great. But I want to see more out of Daniel Bryan on TV. I think we're going to get that. So I think we're going to see him transition to like what Shawn Michaels did. So we'll get into it a little bit more during the review on if this was a total goodbye for Daniel Bryan. So, all right, let's get to the main event here. The main event. Let's get to the Raw review. And we're just going to get into my copious amounts of notes, since this has kind of gone longer than I wanted to in the first place. But I had a lot of things to say on the things that we talked about. So let's get to the Raw review, and we're going to hit it really quick, really hard. I'm going to start with this. I really did enjoy Raw. I thought it was a good show. I rewatched it since the Joe Cronin show, which I was highly intoxicated during the review last night. I hope that was entertaining for everybody. But I enjoyed the show. Even the beginning, the strange beginning. Triple H restores order, kinda. He comes in, rules with an iron fist, makes fun of people, which is hilarious, making fun of J&J Security, bending down to talk to them at their level, because they're such little guys. Man, they are tiny. So that was kind of cool. It didn't drag too long. There is definitely something coming with somebody getting expelled from the Authority. Now there is that new stipulation that if Seth Rollins loses his title, that Kane will be fired from the Authority. My wife is flashing me, which is a rare occurrence.
I'm airing out my boobs.
She's airing out her boobs.
Hot.
It is hot as frick. Frick on a stick.
Hot in Deutschland.
It is hot in Deutschland. So I got to see some boobies, and I got distracted because I saw boobies. Thank you for that. That was
You're
nice.
welcome.
That was nice.
I thought I would help you show.
But if there's no camera,
Yeah, they don't want to see that.
probably not. You're kind of old.
They're old hangy.
Yeah, they're old hangy boobies.
Grandma boobs.
They're not grandma boobs. They're
They cross-eyed.
well, the cross-eyed.
Yeah.
They're cross-eyed boobies. They do tend to go like they're trying to give somebody an awkward hug. Like they're crossing.
They are.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
I need some money on YouTube so I can get a boob job.
Oh, that's a great GoFundMe, Patreon thing. Let's pay for my wife to get a boob job. Holy God, that's brilliant. That's brilliant.
I would show him on camera too.
You would, if you got a boob job, you'd show them on camera. Listen to this. Developments going on, Dead on Dave Productions. Holy crap. My wife does not talk like that. That's hysterical. So, we could talk about this in the future, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to help my wife get a boob job, which really benefits me more than anybody else, well, if she lets me touch them, which, you know, that's another story altogether. You're never dirty. Why are you being? You're never dirty ever. You never talk dirty. This is the dirtiest you've ever spoken in like 12 years.
I'm about to turn 40 next year.
She's about to turn 40. She's about to turn 40, and I tried to convince her that
Next year.
40 next year, and 40-year-old women that they're basically in their sexual prime. She didn't believe me, but maybe it's coming out. I doubt it. Dave will probably continue to go sexless.
You owe me money.
No, I don't owe you money.
There's a pot in there.
Yes, there is one that. Okay, but that's not. But that you owed me money for leaving dishes in there. I'm doing a show. Don't talk about our dish problems. We have a dish situation where if you don't wash your dish, then you owe money. But you know, she hasn't been holding up her end anyway, so that's bullshit.
Working.
Anyway, are you done interrupting?
I don't know yet.
Are you done interrupting?
I might be.
You might be done? Okay. So, Dean Ambrose gets a handicap match with JJ Security, which Dean Ambrose wins very, very easily. Next out, we get Dolph Ziggler versus King Barrett in a good little match. After a distraction, Ziggler turns around to a bullhammer, and that gives King Barrett the victory. After it, Sheamus comes in and messes up Ziggler a little bit more. What I noticed is we did not get a Neville interference, which I thought that we would get, and it didn't happen, but that would be later explained during the John Cena segment. So we'll talk about that in a moment. After that, we got Eric Rowan versus Fandango. Obviously, Rowan and Harper are back together, which I think is cool. It seems like Harper is kind of leading this whole damn thing, and they seem to be on the same page, which I like. Two monsters creating havoc. That's always a good thing. What I liked about the segment overall was the commentary, which is a rare thing, but the announcers, Booker T and JBL in particular, were basically taking bets on how long the match was going to last. I thought that was cool. I thought it was neat, and only went 37 seconds. Rowan destroyed Fandango, so I guess there goes the idea of a Fandango push. Yeah, they're pushing him all right out the friggin' door. They're pushing him to TNA. Go team with Drew McIntyre, Johnny Curtis. After that, we got the United States title match. The Open, after John Cena, talks about how he was going to cancel the Open. He decided not to cancel the Open. If you want some, come get some. And who comes out? It is the man that gravity forgot, Neville. And they did not go with the easy way of having Barrett get involved to set up their match at Payback. Oh, no. Instead, we get the absolute match of the night, possibly even match of the month. Neville and John Cena were spectacular. Not good, not great, phenomenal. Great match. John Cena has to get a lot of credit for what he was able to do with a guy that he doesn't necessarily match up well with. This was a great match. Neville did everything. It was long. Neville worked different styles throughout the match, showing amazing power. That power bomb out of the turnbuckle was fantastic. John Cena just hung in there, and for a lot of it was a body, but even at times he was more than that, and he really seemed to get into this match. And when John Cena's pushed, it's a really wonderful thing, and Neville pushes everybody. It's great. Neville pushes everybody in the ring. He has not had a bad match since coming up to the main roster, and you can make the argument he didn't have a bad match down at NXT either. But he's been nothing short of sensational since coming up to the main roster. He does get the victory over John Cena, but in disqualification manner, because as Neville hit the red arrow, which was absolutely beautiful, and really does give the indication that he was probably going to win the match had this not happened. Hitting the red arrow as Rusev is basically getting in the ring, and stomps him and gives Neville the win by DQ. I thought that was cool. Also, Neville, also just like Sami Zayn, kicked out of the AA, which is really neat. It's giving a lot of credit to these NXT guys. I would caution people kicking out of the AA too much unless they're moving on from that move, which is possible considering we've seen more diverse moveset from John Cena. We saw a variation of the Michinoku driver last night. I mean, that was kind of cool. And it was John Cena is doing more things than usual. Thank God he didn't do that stupid freaking springboard stunner thing. Probably because Neville's so small. It was probably a good idea not to even attempt it. So after that, we got the one real true dud of the night as far as segment goes. And it featured Roman Reigns and...
That's gotta be Kane! That's gotta be Kane!
Yeah, and it didn't do anything for me. It was just a brawl. No match got underway. Kane tried to show a more aggressive side in that monster, and then Roman Reigns just took over, became Roman Reigns. Hit a really ugly-looking spear, and they went over the table. It didn't do anything for me. It wasn't like it was atrociously bad, but it just, I don't know. You got to get Roman Reigns out of this Kane Big Show world. You've got to get him in there with guys that really do accentuate the abilities that he has. You have to have somebody that he could work with because he does have great matches with guys who could still go. He had a great match with Lesnar, Daniel Bryan, Seth Rollins. We've seen him have great matches. So this is irritating that they continue to make the same mistake over and over with him. And it makes you wonder, why are they doing that? Because obviously what they've done in the past hasn't worked. Having him have these monsters, job to him hasn't worked. So maybe this is the end of the long-term push for Roman Reigns. That's a possibility. And it also makes you wonder, did his family's reaction to him not winning the title have anything to do with some of the trepidation that might be seen right now as far as giving him a long-term push? Because the last thing you want is to have to deal with that family. And look, I don't mean that as a diss on them, on the Anoa'i family at all. They're a great family, but God, are they a friggin' handful. The Rock is tolerable because he doesn't always bring that bullshit with him. But the rest of those guys have always been known as very controlling. I mean, Rikishi basically made the entire Hall of Fame ceremony about him, it felt like. He talked forever, and it was annoying, and it drove me nuts because he shouldn't even been in the Hall of Fame yet. He made it like he was being inducted into the highest wing of honor within the Hall of Fame. It drove me absolutely crazy. It should have been a weekend focusing on Roman Reigns, and it didn't. It didn't feel like that to me. So, I don't know. That could have something. Do not underestimate the possibility that Vince and the higher-ups simply do not want to deal with those friggin' people because they are difficult. Moving on, Brie Bella and Tamina, great match. Great match for them especially. And look, it's not like the match was super technical or anything like that, but they got some length. Brie, no botches. She looked fairly good. Tamina is moving well within the ring, and that super kick she had hit on Brie absolutely was, it made me grab my face because she looked like she absolutely waffled her. I mean, completely cleaned her face off. It was wonderful. So I actually really enjoyed that whole segment. Naomi's antics on the outside, her attitude, I enjoyed everything about it. I liked, and how about Nikki's yoga pants? Let's stand up a moment and give credit to Nikki Bella's yoga pants, because my God, were they phenomenal. God, I wish I can find... I just paused the show so I can go find a picture of Nikki Bella's yoga pants, but if you haven't seen them, just go watch it. Oh my God, they're wonderful. So let's give her credit for that. It's a national treasure. A treasure, I say. Moving on, Curtis Axel, Axelmania, and Macho Mandow. I'm trying to figure out how I feel about this segment. I don't know how I feel about it. It was strange. It was bizarre. There was something very, very charming about it, too, for some reason. And I got to give Mandow some credit, Macho Mandow, some credit for getting the mannerisms of that handshake moment 100% right. They were dead on. They were absolutely spectacular. All of his mannerisms were great, and it really looked like the moment the Mega Powers formed. Commentary was hilarious through this segment because of how ridiculous it was, and putting him in there with the Ascension, who I thought did a really good job on the mic, only to be jobbed out basically to these two, that was admirable. At least they're doing something with the Ascension, and I actually really kind of, I don't know, I can't say I enjoyed the segment. It was weird. But I don't know, something about it. I think there's something there. At the very least, it does feel like Axel and Sandow should be together. It does feel, I mean, why not? It worked with Kid and Cesaro, two good wrestlers with no real aim or direction. Why not do the same with these two? I think it's a good thing. Tough Enough segment. Holy shit, Joe Cronin on Raw. That's right, Joe Cronin was on Monday Night Raw. Well, kind of. His thumbnail for his video was on Raw, so the long-awaited debut of Joe Cronin on Monday Night Raw finally happened. He beat all the competition. Make sure you go sub Joe Cronin if you have yet to do so. I'm there for every review of Raw and SmackDown, and we do a weekly show, State of the WWE, which we should be getting back on track. It's going to be hard for me for the next couple of weeks because I'm taking over Tommy C's channel, Shot from the Point, while he is on his honeymoon. So there's all that stuff going on. But he made his debut, Joe Cronin, Monday Night Raw. Awesome. Now let's get to probably the most difficult part of Raw for a lot of people. Because this gave the Raw the thing I was talking about earlier, balance. There was an emotional moment, of course, Daniel Bryan relinquishing the Intercontinental Championship almost a year to the day that he had to relinquish the World Heavyweight Championship. You know, this is becoming a common theme with him, and it's very Shawn Michaels-ish. And like when Shawn Michaels relinquished his title, of the many times he did so, this felt like a goodbye. And at 33, whatever he is, I believe he's 33 years old, you kind of have to feel like this could be the end of the line for Daniel Bryan if the bad breaks continue, which honestly would just be unfortunate because Daniel Bryan is fantastic. And he was on his way to a Hall of Fame career, absolutely no doubt. So I really do hope the best for Daniel Bryan. And, God, man, that was emotional. It was great. It was a really good moment. I feel he did it in a good way. He talked about a lot of things in the back stuff, but really talked about how the fans were supportive of him. And while one person of the Joe Cronin Show in a private chat, Mr. Jesse J, called it ass licking, which I do not see at all. I really saw it as some genuine things because the fans really have driven his career, whether it be from the indies to now. He has been driven and dictated by the fans. So I thought it was appropriate and a really nice send-off if it is going to be indeed a long-term send-off. It's going to probably, more than likely, absolutely be through the summer because he is going to be on the panel of Tough Enough. I know Paige is too, and she probably will be wrestling, but really Daniel Bryan being there is so they can get some use out of him. Moving on, Big E versus Cesaro, really good match. The New Day continue to do what they do, getting heat. Now they're going to the more evil type bad guy stereotypes of drawing cheap heat, which I actually really enjoyed, giving second chances to everyone except Pete Rose. I thought that was a really smart thing to say in Cincinnati. Just very villainous, and they're really going down that path of full super villainy quite nicely, and it's intriguing. Everything they do is fun. The match was very good. Big E and Cesaro, man. Power versus power, and it was incredible. Cesaro does get the victory. After that, having to follow it, unfortunately, was Bray and Ryback in a lackluster segment that kind of sums up the entire feud. Meh. There was nothing really wrong with the segment. Bray gave his promo about fear that he's given a million times, and Ryback came out and started throwing punches and bombs and got the better of Bray, and that was the segment. So The fans ate it up. The live fans absolutely ate it up. Feed me more chants. We're everywhere. So, I mean, it did its job. It did its job, no doubt. Main event, Randy Orton, Seth Rollins. Look, I'm going to leave this really short and simple. It was a good match. Great match, in fact. Very well worked match. I've just seen it too many times. Rollins and Orton should have been done at WrestleMania. They should have went to a new feud. Even with Seth winning the title that night, the loss to Randy Orton, if it wasn't settled there, it should have been directly after. The fact that Randy's still hanging around and not been moved on yet is just, it's getting tedious. It's getting tedious now. So I hope that they learn from this and get Orton out of there, or just take the title off Seth altogether and put it on the man who closed out the show in spectacular fashion and got everyone on their feet. The most over man on the roster right now, Dean Ambrose. I would be okay with that. I wanted to see a long-term title reign from Seth Rollins, but you know what? I'm over that now. I'm done with that idea. I don't need to see it. He has shown me everything that I need to see at the time being, and until they fix his character and decide to get him out of the Authority and make him the face that he needs to be, or that really badass villain that warrants his skill level in the ring, then I'm tired of this champion. So and maybe that's their whole goal, but I don't want to see another Miz run, because that's what this feels like to me. Just a better athlete, but this feels like a Miz run. You take the Authority and you place Alex Riley, and it feels like the Miz's run. It really does. And that's not a good thing. That was a terrible championship reign. It was a dark time in the world of WWE. There's no question. And I feel like if it goes unchecked and it goes too long, we're going to see the same thing. Now, the good news is, if they keep Seth Rollins as champion, it's easy to fix, because they've got a guy that they can feud him with for the entire summer, and if done properly and they get the Authority angle out of the situation, Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins is a feud worth watching. And I don't know what they're going to do with Roman Reigns, but keep him out of there too. Him and Orton, have them feud with each other for all I care, because I'm done. I'm done with those two. So it was a decent way to end the show, because of when you get past the tediousness of seeing it for the 1,000th time, it was a good match. Like all the matches, I would say, tonight on Monday Night Raw, I thought were really solid. The wrestling was not the issue. It was a good show. 7.5 I give it. You could easily talk me into a 7.5. Maybe a 7. A 7 is probably the fair number, I think. But I could be talking to a 7.5 because of that Cena-Neville match and the emotional ride that Daniel Bryan took us on. I thought it was a really entertaining show. So I like the fact that Dean Ambrose closed it out to a hot crowd. The crowd wasn't fantastic, but they got up on their feet when warranted, and Dean Ambrose gave them a reason to come in and looking strong at the end there. What that means for the pay-per-view, probably not good, but we'll see. They can easily pull the trigger if they want to. So coming out of it, we do have an updated card for the Payback pay-per-view, and it goes a little something like this. It looks to be Tamina and Naomi versus the Bellas. It looks like that's going to happen. It's not been confirmed yet, but it probably will happen. Fatal 4-way for the WWE World Heavyweight title. Reigns, Ambrose, Orton, and Rollins, with the new stipulation: if Rollins fails to win, Kane will be up for termination. It wasn't confirmed that he'll be fired, but he'll be probably fired. Just like Tom Brady probably had something to do with the deflation. See what I did there? An I Quit match for the United States title, Rusev versus John Cena. How are they going to put Lana involved? That's going to be the interesting factor of this match, but I can't wait for the feud to be over. That's all I got to say about that. An interesting little stipulation to the WWE Tag Team titles. A 2 out of 3 falls match for tag team titles. That doesn't happen very often, but that feels like it'll be a definitive resolution to this match, or to this feud. So hence the need for the Elimination Chamber just a mere 10 days later. So I like that. That's kind of cool. Sheamus versus Dolph Ziggler. King Barrett versus Neville. 2 good matches that should definitely live up to expectations and kind of really push the card in a good direction as far as wrestling goes. And the kickoff pre-show, which could be hit or miss, Macho Mandow. Oh, yeah, Macho Mandow versus Axelmania. Partnered with Axelmania Dude versus The Ascension. Road Warrior Ascension and Ascension. I can't remember their names. Victor and Connor. Road Warrior Victor and Connor. That's who they're going to be facing. So, I mean, the card isn't spectacular in any way, shape, or form, but it's solid with 3 good title matches and some good undercard work. So it should be an interesting event. It's free, so don't bitch. How about that? It's free. It's free on the network. So come on, check it out, and maybe you'll be pleasantly surprised. And if not, we got the Elimination Chamber at the end of the month. So lots of good things going on within WWE. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you enjoyed this news roundup / Raw review, because I'm out. I got nothing else. So make sure you check out Joe Cronin, The Joe Cronin Show. We had a good review last night. I think one of our strongest shows in a long time. Also, Tommy C over in Shot from the Point, and he'll be taking some time off, but we've been putting out our shows. I don't know if he might do a solo in the crease today. I have no idea, but make sure you check that out. Shot from the Point for all your hockey news and needs. That's the place to be. And of course, my main man over on Touch 'Em All, the weekly baseball show, Jeff Huffman, Grand Slam 87 for all your video game news needs and stuff. He does all kinds of rage videos, and they're always funny. 9 out of 10 people feel more manly after watching Jeff Huffman. All right, I'm hot, I'm bothered, I'm sweaty, and I might be a little hungover. So I'm done. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Like, subscribe, and share as always. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, suggestions, whatever, go ahead and put it in the comment section below, or hit me up on Twitter, at DeadOnDaveV, and of course on Skype, David Vancura, DavidVancura. We'll see you next time right here on Dead on Dave Productions. And remember, kids, if you don't have talent, have talented friends. I'm out. Peace.